A city in mourning and a nation left shaken. The newly emerging details surrounding the New Orleans attack as the vibrant city's light is dimmed amid a new normal.
Warmth for just a couple more days, then a very strong cold front ushers in the coldest air since last winter. We'll track your chances for wintry weather as well in First Warning Weather.
The votes have been counted and the man to wield the gavel in the House of Representatives has been decided. The big role one Texas congressman played in reinstating Mike Johnson as U.S. House Speaker.
And in Washington today, the 119th Congress begins with Republicans in control of both chambers for the first time since 2019. Thanks for joining us. I'm Daniel Mudding.
And I'm Jennifer Sanders. In their first order of business, House members re-elected Republican Mike Johnson as Speaker. But as NBC's Alice Barr reports, it didn't come without last-minute drama.
As a new year ushers in a new Congress, echoes from the last one, with House Republicans tussling briefly over who should be House Speaker before uniting to re-elect Mike Johnson.
This Congress will renounce the status quo and we will listen to the voices of the people. We will act quickly and we will start by defending our nation's borders.
President-elect Trump gave Johnson a boost, writing on social media, "A win for Mike today will be a big win for the Republican Party." But Johnson earns skeptics over his support for Ukraine aid and his willingness to work with Democrats to pass key legislation. With such a narrow majority, Johnson could only afford to lose one Republican vote, and one made his stance clear well before the first ballot.
You can pull all my fingernails out, you can shove bamboo up in them, you can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson.
The pushback recalling Kevin McCarthy's 2023 battle for the Speaker's gavel that took 15 rounds of voting. But today, in an extended first round of voting, 2 Republican holdouts changed their votes under pressure from their party to give Speaker Johnson the win. House Democrats firmly united behind their minority leader.
The pride of Brooklyn, the gentleman from New York, Hakeem Jeffries.
And with razor-thin margins in the new Congress, Republicans will need some help from across the aisle for must-pass bills.
It's time for us to come together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
Democrats looking for any leverage they can find, with Republicans in control in the House and Senate, where members were sworn in today, and President-elect Trump preparing to return to the White House. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And going in depth, the Texas congressman was the vote that put Mike Johnson over the threshold to keep the gavel. Republican Congressman Keith Self of McKinney initially voted against the House Speaker's re-election before switching his vote at the last minute. He was one of 3 Republicans to vote against Johnson. Also, Representatives Chip Roy of Austin and Michael Cloud of Victoria voted for Johnson as well, despite hinting they were dissatisfied with him.
Well, taking you now to New Orleans, where memorials are growing on Bourbon Street as the city recovers from the tragedy on New Year's Day.
14 people were killed when a man intentionally drove his truck down the road at a high speed and also fired at officers who tried to stop him. And now the famous street is reopened, and people are leaving flowers, candles, and other mementos for those killed and injured.
And we're also learning more about the suspect. The FBI recovered a significant amount of bomb-making materials during a search of his Houston home yesterday. NBC's Jay Gray reports.
Good evening from just above Bourbon Street. You can hear the echo of drums ringing through the French Quarter, but the rhythm of this city is very different than it was before the attack here. Let's start with the investigation, which continues to center on the suspect who rented an Airbnb here. It's not clear exactly why or what he may have done in that home. We do know that there was a fire there just after the attack, and so investigators continue to be focused on that area as well as here on Bourbon Street where it all took place, but also in Texas at the suspect's Houston home, where we now know that federal agents have discovered what they characterize as bomb-making materials in that home. So that's one more piece of this puzzle they are trying to pull together. That, as this city, this state, and much of the country continues to mourn the loss of 14 victims here, and it's really affected many of those who live and work in this area.
I don't have very much money, so I picked up some wildflowers that were in my neighborhood, and I got on the bus. And I walked over here, and this lady was kind enough to show me where the memorial is. It's different when it happens close to home, at some place you know, or some place I know. That's how it is for me. It hits different. It's affected my friends and family in a way where I feel like I can't do anything to make them feel better, or to help.
Yeah, that makeshift memorial here in the French Quarter is growing, and so many people say they are just drawn to this site and feel like they get comfort and strength from being with others who are dealing with the loss here. There will be a vigil in the French Quarter tomorrow, and we expect to see a lot of people gather here. We expect music, and that's one of the steps, many say, towards moving towards some type of healing. That's the latest from here in New Orleans. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
Well, the Austin Police Department has released images of the suspect in a shooting yesterday at Lakeline Mall. APD's aggravated assault unit needs your help identifying him. In this video, you can see him running across the food court. He's described as a man in his mid to late 20s. He was last seen wearing a black hoodie and dark pants. Police say the suspect and a victim left the scene right after the shooting. The victim later went to the hospital and received treatment for minor injuries. If you have any information on the suspect, contact APD.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Another mostly cloudy day today, even some areas of pretty thick fog, and it's still gray from the Oasis restaurant camera looking over Lake Travis. Although there have been some breaks of sunshine this afternoon, even in the metro. The sunniest weather before the sun sets this evening is in our eastern counties right now, which is a reverse of where the sun was yesterday, which was mostly in the hill country. As a result, some of you in the hill country only in the 50s at this hour, yet we've got some 70s in our eastern counties and mid 60s in the metro. These numbers are still above normal for this time of year, but some 50s in the hill country, certainly on the cooler side. 62 is where we'll be at 7, 60 at 9, 59 at 11. For those that have breaks of sun now, the clouds will thicken up through the night, and we're expecting another mostly cloudy one. Coming up in First Warning Weather, lots to talk about. First, though, we've got to get through some weekend warmth, including highs in the 70s. But then later on Sunday, strong cold front ushers in all that cold air we've been talking about for days now. For next week, we'll highlight the potential still for a wintry mix.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. The future for Burnett County up for discussion today following the resignation of the former county judge.
KXAN's Avery Travis joins us now with some background and details on how the county is trying to move forward. Avery.
Jen, Daniel, former Judge James Oakley stepped down in December amid ongoing legal troubles and even some harassment claims against him. But with 2 years until the next election for voters to choose a new judge, it's up to the 4 county commissioners to pick a replacement, and county residents have a lot to say about it.
Please bow with me.
A new prayer.
As we begin a new year, we begin a new chapter in Burnett County, Lord.
For new leadership.
There is no process, no detail, no statute that defines how this is to happen. So your public input is valuable.
And Burnett County residents heeded the call, bringing the Commissioner's Court concerns.
There's a lot of unease in the county right now.
And demands.
Transparency matters. Integrity matters.
About the search for a new county judge amid what this 6th-generation county resident calls
some of the most difficult years for this court in our lifetime.
Former Judge James Oakley spent the last 2 years fighting several different criminal accusations, including abuse of office, official oppression, and tampering with evidence. The claims all centered around his role as a board member of a local electric co-op while holding the county judge seat and the handling of a vehicle crash in 2021. Then in December, the State Commission on Judicial Conduct reprimanded Oakley, citing accusations he removed a lock to the courtroom door of a Justice of the Peace, Lisa Whitehead. Whitehead also claimed Oakley sexually harassed her on several occasions, detailed in the reprimand.
In recent years, the extreme lack of civility and public discourse has caused me to reevaluate how I want to spend my day-to-day life.
According to Oakley's resignation letter, read aloud to the court.
My priorities are to protect my health, safety, and that of my wife and family.
Ultimately, the court voted on a nearly 2-month process.
This is a really large event, historic, actually.
To publicly post applicants for the job and allow county residents to submit their feedback to commissioners via email and several public meetings.
Motion passes.
Now, the commissioner said today it would try to post the job opening as soon as it could, as soon as this afternoon potentially, and leave it open for applications until the end of the month. Then it would start to perform background checks and eligibility checks, there we go, for each of those applicants. They know there are certain things that they have to be able to meet in order to be qualified. And then they would post those names publicly about a week later. After that, they would collect public comment from people through email and also at 2 different commissioners' court meetings that month before they made a selection. People at the meeting today were also asking for an all-candidate forum so that they could ask each of those candidates questions. So we'll update you when there are more details about that.
All right, Avery Travis, thank you so much for joining us with that. Texas game wardens say 2 people were cited for illegally fishing in Lady Bird Lake. On Monday, game warden officials say they responded to a tip regarding illegal fishing activity near Barton Springs. And when they arrived, they say they saw one person was sitting by the lake with a cooler while another person snorkeled and appeared to be and speared black bass with a spear gun. That is a violation of state fishing regulations. Wardens say they found 18 illegally taken bass in that cooler, with several of them measuring larger than 18 inches. Although fishing is legal on Lady Bird Lake, there are special regulations on some fish and bag and size limits.
Cedars at medium and Mold is at high, and both are trending higher. So are the temperatures. Mid-60s today. We've got 70s this weekend, but not for long. We'll show you the big time cold and some wintry weather for next week in First Warning Weather.
Another iconic Austin spot is closing down, but this time it's just headed up the streets under new ownership.
As Nabil Ramanda reports, Waterloo Records is taking the staff with them, also offering them a pretty unique opportunity.
Sifting through every genre.
Hey, bud. There you go. Not bad. Pretty good deal.
Carter Spilliards and Phoenix Zarola are on the hunt for that perfect vinyl at their favorite store in Austin.
It's a very kind of quintessential Austin place.
Waterloo Records.
To record collecting and to movie collecting, they've got a really nice variety of stuff.
Signed memorabilia, turntables, and then there are the aisles and aisles and aisles of records to look through. They also have movies and CDs, if you know what those are. Soundtracks to movies like Barbie, or how about one of the many Now albums? This one from the 80s. You can even find Best of Kerrville Folk Festival Volume 2. Waterloo has it all. Just ask Matt Watson, who stopped by with his family.
It does. It's got a little bit of everything. I remember coming here in the 90s and it was a hangout spot. You would come and sample new music.
The future of the business was not always clear, though. Following a 2019 property purchase by Endeavor Real Estate Group, the business faced closure or relocation.
The needle that always needed to be threaded with our business was to stay true to our roots, our beliefs, our principles, always follow the music, but yet continue to change and morph and innovate.
Owner John T. Kuntz is giving up the majority of his stake in bringing in new owners, and that means the music will continue.
Now, the good news is all of your favorite vinyls, CDs, DVDs, all the memorabilia here will be moving just down the street.
And all those familiar faces that have helped customers will be joining.
I've got to stress that they were only interested in this company because of the team, the 40 people that make us hum the way we do.
Employees like Guillermo Paleo, who loves connecting people with new artists.
I love Cerati. This is like one of the biggest artists from Argentina.
Or Martin Coulter, who's been with Waterloo for more than 30 years.
I started working here the first week this location started.
And making sure they kept their jobs wasn't the only must that went into the new ownership.
One of my other caveats was that the employees would have the opportunity to buy in if they wanted to.
It just speaks volumes, and it just confirms to us it's like how much he really wants us to secure the future, not only for Waterloo, but for us as employees.
Employees you'll still see at the new location, and you'll most likely see some of the same shoppers as well.
It doesn't matter where Waterloo is, we'll seek it out.
Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
Let's take you out to our Lorenz and Lorenz 360 cam from Westlake Hills. This tells the story of the day, doesn't it? The gray skies. Of course, there was some fog in areas of drizzle, sprinkles, couple very light showers. At least visibility right now is okay. We can see downtown, but I wouldn't be surprised if some fog and sprinkles and drizzle make a return tonight. You can see the last of the low clouds and fog still rolling through parts of the metro and the hill country now. As far as our next storm system, we're not going to get much in the way of rain out of it, but this is the cold front moving through the western states now that will bring us our big temperature drop this weekend. You see that storm system working through the western states, the middle of the country. It's only going to bring us a tiny shower chance here Sunday morning in our eastern counties. But that cold front that follows will bring us that much colder air for Monday. But it will be cold and dry on Monday. Later next week may not be dry. Temperatures outside right now, 60s, although there are some 50s to the north and west of us. These numbers are actually pretty mild for this time of year. Look what happens as we go into tonight. 60s and 50s still at 8. Your Friday evening, not that cold, although the 60s under the clouds and some drizzle may make it feel a touch cooler. Then we're in the 50s as we start your Saturday morning, so still kind of a mild start. Low 70s tomorrow afternoon, thanks to a little bit more sun tomorrow than what we had here today. Still a mostly cloudy day overall. But come and look at Sunday's temperatures because they're going to do some wacky things. 50s and 60s to begin your morning. Then temperatures will soar into the 70s in the metro and our eastern counties. But as that front enters the hill country, the numbers will already start to drop into the 50s by then. So ahead of the front, 70s. Behind the front, 50s. And then our temperatures will drop through the afternoon in the metro, 60s and 50s, although our southeastern counties will hold on to the warmth longer. And then we'll keep seeing these numbers falling and falling all the way down into Monday morning when just about all of us start the day below freezing. That'll be the first of several days with below freezing nights and mornings. So tonight we're down to 56, a lot of clouds, some areas of fog, a light wind. Here's your weekend. A lot of clouds tomorrow, a little afternoon sun, tiny chance for a shower in the morning through about the early afternoon. Otherwise, we're up to 73, just a 10% rain chance. We'll also have a low rain chance early Sunday morning in our eastern counties. The clouds will quickly give way to sun, though. There's your midday high in Austin, and then the numbers tumble. Highs just in the 40s every day next week, Wednesday being the coldest one, the day that we struggle to get out of the 30s. And then our nighttime lows will all be below freezing next week. The coldest mornings being Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. So nighttime lows below freezing, daytime highs above freezing means we're still looking like any precipitation that arrives mid to late next week could be a wintry mix. If it comes during the day, it's more rain. If it comes during the evening and night or morning, it's more of that wintry mix of weather. Highest chances for that now looking to be Thursday. Wednesday has trended a little bit drier based on some of the information we've seen here today. So we're not telling you a 30% chance of a wintry mix. We're talking about a 30% chance of precipitation at all. Some of it could be rain, some of it could be a mix there Wednesday. 50% Thursday, 20% chances for rain or a mix on Friday. We'll be right back.
If you're looking to sell your home or buy a new one in the new year, you can expect to see the housing market follow some trends similar to the past couple of years. Data from the Austin Board of Realtors shows the Austin Metro's housing inventory is up or equal month over month compared to 2023. Housing economist Dr. Claire Knapp notes affordability will continue to be top of mind for potential buyers, and sellers will continue to reap the benefits of year-over-year increases in local home prices. Meanwhile, increased inventory will help out potential buyers.
In terms of months of inventory or months of supply, we're sitting at an over decade high now. So sitting on really an over 13-year high in terms of that months of inventory. And of course, that provides a big boost to buyers. They had more opportunities across the board in terms of what they're looking for and a little bit more negotiating power when they're working with sellers.
In addition to that, migration to Austin is cooling off, which Dr. Knapp says could help with affordability.